G'day golfers. Ever found yourself redirecting blame and making excuses after having an absolute shocker on a golf course? I know that I have. Range was closed, I was a little cold, didn't warm up, I hit it in those 3 old divots. Then we have the podcast for you. We focus on how to fundamentally own your swing. Strike it pure and consistently shoot in the 70s. Be it if you're a weekend hack, retired and playing daily, a school phenom or a tour professional. We present and discuss facts and physics pertaining to golf, trying to keep our ego and opinion at bay. We dispel myths such as keep your head down, bend your knees, or my all-time favourite, game improvement irons. So stop drinking that mythical Kool-Aid and have a sip of ours. I think you'll find it both inspiring and refreshing. I'm Scott Young, founder of Swing, PGA professional and ex-tour player. And together with physical therapist Dr. Sean Joyce, welcome to Pivot the Path. G'day, golfers. Good morning. It's Jay.
Good morning, everybody.
How are we doing out there in the world?
Good.
50 degrees here at 6
It's getting nice again. Yeah.
We go play golf.
I know.
All the golf courses are shutting down.
Yeah, there's always a couple that stay open here, though. You get that odd 60-degree day. Van Cortlandt Park, I think Marine Park, you can sneak out if you're around the city.
Marine Park opens?
Yeah, I've played in January before, which is awesome. But yeah, who knows what this winter is going to be like. It's been a strange fall.
Yeah, it's been a strange fall. So you're playing Marine Park, so that opens up, or basically never shuts down.
Yeah, usually they'll stay open, maybe unless there's snow on the ground.
Yeah.
You can get out there. Frost delay you might run into, but no big deal.
Some of the northern ones where we play start to shut down. Actually, I don't know about our little par 3 track. I don't know if that opens or closes over winter. We can look that up. I'm actually ducking home. My old man's not doing great, so I'm going to duck home next week.
Yeah.
So downside is got to see what's happening there, but the upside is I get to play with my brother and sister. First inaugural sibling round of golf.
That's awesome.
At Longreef Golf Club, my favorite little public-private.
Yeah, so you were telling me, you showed me the Google map or Google Earth view of this golf course. It looks amazing.
So it's on an esplanade in Longreef. So think of a big cliff, and then there's Pacific Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Pacific Ocean. And I used to surf. Cool. Oh, it's just amazing. And it's ballpark $70 for 18 holes. Yeah. There's hardly a tree on the course, lots of little gorse bushes.
Okay.
And it's
pretty windy, I'm assuming.
Oh, super windy. Just wonderful, wonderful group of people. So
that's awesome.
Pumped for Longreef Golf Club. My sister's never played 18 holes. And so, yeah, we're going to go play golf. Yes,
cool.
Awesome.
That's going to be awesome.
So news from the fairways. We've got a lot going on. All the tours have wrapped up, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and set the top for PGA Tour 125 that get into next season.
Yep.
With some status. So a lot of those bubble guys either got in, got out.
Yeah, so
heartbreaking and also inspiring stories.
So who won? We had young chap, right? First winner again, Maverick McNeely. Maverick.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a Top Gun joke there somewhere.
Yeah, that's a proper name.
29, first win, 16 under, smashed it.
Mm-hmm.
All the majors, all the US majors, Masters.
Yeah, so he's given himself some stability moving forward.
Do you think they take the piss out of him with Top Gun? They'd have to.
Surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parents probably, into their little Top Gun thing.
Yeah, he's got a shoe-in for Halloween every year.
He's got a shoe-in for Halloween, just dresses himself.
Yeah.
But no, fantastic, mate. Well done. Joel Dunn got in.
Yeah, so he had a crazy 64 in his last round. 64 in his last round. Snuck in at 124.
That's pretty cool. If you actually think about, like, Maverick, congrats, mate, first win. But keeping your top 125, top 124, that's pressure.
Yeah,
Good on him.
And he knew, in that last round, he had to make things happen. So pretty crazy to show up
and you were talking about the
post
young
a number
chap.
like that. Then there's another guy I like to follow. He's really big in the YouTube golf space, Wesley Bryan. They have a really cool YouTube channel, but it gives you kind of a behind the scenes of a PGA Tour player. But he's won before, but then the last few years he's battled some injury, and then kind of his status has been in and out of trying to get his full-time tour card back. But he ended up getting bumped out. I think ended at 128.
That's brutal.
And he's the kind of player who could make 6 birdies in a round, but could also have a triple,
couple of doubles,
something like that.
You said he had a triple.
Sounds like he had a real big blow up on one of the holes, and unfortunately, when you're on the bubble, that's the difference between.
I mean, we don't know what he's going to get. He might at 128. You said he might not get many starts. He might. So all the big, the big 13, 14 events where they're the $8 million, $9 million, $10 million event. he probably won't get a start in those. So now he's got to perform extra well on the smaller events because the smaller events have less money, and it's all about money. So
yeah, the pressure just goes up.
pressure just goes.
It's tough.
So look, I think ultimately they're doing the right thing. They've actually said to the guys who are not quite on fire, hey, sorry, you're not playing well enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2026, it's top 100, which is what it used to be. It's going to get more competitive.
Yeah, definitely. And then one other thing that's a little separate from this, but I wanted to get your thoughts on, is, there's some debate on how they should be enforcing pace of play in PGA Tour, and that there's more slow players now than there used to ever be because it kind of is tolerated almost in a sense. But did you ever run into,
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't remember what the rules were. We used to get a warning. We used to get 2 warnings, and then you were 2 shots or 1 shot penalty.
Okay, yeah, you get penalized quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. And it was literally 1 or 2 warnings, and then they were on you.
And it was enforced.
There was literally a
like
guy
you would
with a stopwatch.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
pace of play was probably decent.
Pace of play was decent. I think they've become a little precious because they're the kings of the castle and they can do whatever they want. No, rip it into them. 4 hours, 20 minutes should be tops.
Yeah.
But again, it comes down to the number of players too. We used to have 144 top 60 plus ties. They're up to whatever 165, 170. It's a lot of golfers.
Yeah.
So yeah, love that. Yeah, look, pace of play pretty important. And then you've got the flip side of that. Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, Marky Mark. Apparently, after about an hour, 15 minutes, whether he's finished all 18 holes or not, he's done.
So
he's sprinting between balls.
Literally.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there probably needs to be something in between those 2 worlds. But
I've seen Marky Mark's technique. He's got big old reverse spine angle and just rips it with his big old biceps. But love to get him in here, get him a screen.
Yeah.
He is certainly ribcage up that.
Yeah, I think probably the quickest way to shorten your round, if that's your goal, is to hit every fairway, hit every green.
Yeah.
Make the putts.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, sounds simple.
And then we've got LPGA. We've got Althea Thitikul. She won again. She's just crushing it. Now, shout out to CME. So they're a big financial-based ecosystem for putting in their $4 or $5 million.
Yeah.
So she got a lazy $4 million for that.
That's awesome.
Which is cool. Yeah, so good on her. And then Nelly came 5th or 6th.
Okay. Yeah.
She's got
solid
to be a shadow
as always.
Camper.
Yeah. We'll be seeing a lot of her name on the leaderboard next year.
Hopefully racks them up and she's done. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about cricket, if we could.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to bore the absolute shit out of our swing members by playing cricket. Now, there is method to my madness here. So the India-Australia Test Series has just started, and I have just finished it. I'm a day behind. And there's a young kid who is 22. So quick story, not to bore everyone here, but the parallels between Test cricket and tournament golf are huge because it's a 5-day event. You're playing for 8 hours a day, and it is routine on, routine off, routine on, routine off. So long story, the Indian wickets on the continent are very sticky and bumpy and not quite as prepared as perfectly as, say, a UK wicket or certainly Australia. So they've come from the continent, this young Indian side, and then they've come to WA, which is the hardest, fastest wicket in cricket.
Okay.
And the first innings, everyone got rolled for both Australia and India. Australia didn't bat terribly well, and they've got this young captain for India, Bumrah, who's and the reason we're talking about it, he gets his hyperextended arm. So his bowling arm, if I have a straight arm and my right arm is a right arm bowler, he can hyperflex his elbow. So it's actually an obtuse angle. So we're talking, if I'm holding my right arm out where the ball is delivered, his hand is back about 30 degrees.
Okay.
And he basically
quite a substantial bit of extension. Yeah.
So no one can bowl how he bowls. So from a pace of play point of view, he's got about 15 steps and he gets this big old slingshot and he moves the ball around.
Okay.
So he cleaned up the Aussies.
Yeah.
And then we cleaned up them. And then the second innings, this young 22-year-old came out, first test off continent, I believe, and he's just absolutely crushed it. And I thought the parallels to golf, everyone said, the wicket's going to take him apart. He's not used to Australian pitches.
Yeah.
And he's just gone, you know what? Go stuff yourself. I'll play every ball on its merit. And he got 160 odd, 22 years of age, and just crushed it. Yeah. And I thought, it's the same as golf. The amount of golfers who come in and say, my club champs have just happened. I didn't perform how I wanted to perform. Why? It's all self-belief and routines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So watch cricket.
That's interesting. And you were telling me just how much they'll spend so much time with a certain strategy trying to bait the other team into making just one mistake to get one little leg up.
So they might know that a certain batsman in Australia might be playing his bat away from his body because he's not using his feet. And they'll keep it into his body, into his body, into his body, into his body. They'll do 3 overs, 6 balls each, into his body, preparing to give one away from his body because they know they'll lure him into a little trap. So the whole thing's a mental game.
Yeah, interesting.
Test cricket is like, I love it.
Reminds me of a story I've heard of Tiger Woods messing with people on tee boxes and taking like way too much club, but he had so much control to, hit a more like a sawed-off type of shot, par threes type of stuff. And then the playing partner's looking at it like, did he just hit 7 on that? I've got an 8 or something, and then kind of bait him into going long and messing it up or whatever.
Actually, I can imagine that at like Augusta where you've got the wind swirling and like 16. Yeah, I can imagine that. Tiger.
Yeah, it's interesting.
He's just not, he's actually just announced he's not playing the Hero, which is his event. So poor old Tiger, he's had some lower back surgery. We're not quite sure the depth of that, but it sounds like a bit of a Band-Aid, not really fixing his rib cage up because he is just bench pressing. He loves his big arms.
Yeah, it's just a lot of times under the knife.
Yeah.
It's a lot to counteract and play golf still at a high level.
Prescribe medicine to deal with the pain, and it's just a big old cycle. But hopefully he's got his head together. But we'd love to see him back. But anyway, so that's the Hero. So he's not heroing.
Yep.
And then how are you? Golf? No golf last week.
No golf last week. Got cold here. It was a little brisk. I had a friend go out and brave the storm. Just windy and cold. And he said the ball felt a little firmer than he's used to.
I took my little one out. We played tennis. We didn't get to the golf course this weekend.
Yeah. So
my little number 3's just starting to play some good tennis.
Nice. Getting the hang of it.
We're working on a thoracic rotation through. In fact, she gets
really good. That's awesome.
Then she hits one over the fence. I'm like, Bushy, what are you doing?
That'll come.
So what are we going to get back to? We're going to close the loop on transitions. We've done a little bit of towel drill. Why towel drill so important for face to path. And then we've gone side bang, which is an absolute game changer.
Yeah, so kind of towel drill and building a backswing with some good body mechanics.
And what we wanted to do is not say this is what you must do, but here's what we believe based on math of creating face less than path.
Yeah, and good mechanics are a huge part of that. And everyone does have the same components at the end of the day, which, we're not saying you've got to do it this way, but the body moves in certain ways well and also can be the opposite. But everyone's got different amounts of flexibility, stability, mobility, all of that. So you need to find your balance within these parameters we're kind of trying to set and give you guys so you have a framework.
Just backpedaling a little bit on the Tiger thing. I remember I hit a tree root in 2005. And remember that? Rosie's nodding her head. And I fell to my knees. I hit the ground. There's a tree root under the grass. And so the impact of the golf club stopped straight away. And my lower back just disintegrated. And then I had to get on a plane back to Australia to see all the doctors, and all my doctors, and they're at the Institute of Sport. They said, "Oh, we'll just cortisone the shot, then you'll go in for basically a shave down of my vertebra." And I thought that doesn't make sense to me, and thank God I didn't. Getting back to the Tiger thing, and I don't mind saying this, over the weekend I went to just bend forward doing something, and when my lower back went out over the last 30 years I've been dealing with this. Dad took me to see my first chiro when I was about 9. So this is obviously just because I'm built so anteriorly tilted. So I've been dealing with this for over 30 years. And on the weekend, I said to SJ, I bent forward and grabbed something. And for me personally, it's like an electrode. It's literally like someone's got 2, positive and negative, and they're putting it into my lower back. And on the weekend, I fell to my knees. And traditionally, that would mean I'm out for months. And because of all our group training and the work I've done, I went to group training yesterday and I hit some balls for 2 hours yesterday afternoon, and I'm rock solid. So
you bounce back quick.
Bounce back really quickly. And so when this happened on the weekend, and I started sweat response, heart rate went up. And I'm like, oh no. And I said to Rosie, you're not going to believe it. I literally fell to my knees at, a strong fella. But now I'm back 100%, and I just can't think of Tiger. You're just band-aiding the cure. While he continues to get that big old chest of his and arms up, he's not fixing the root problem.
The stress keeps ending up on those discs there in the lumbar spine.
You've got to understand there's a difference between band-aid and fix the root problem. And, you know, thank God I kind of went the path of fixing the root problem. It's taken 15, 20 years to do it.
Yeah.
But now we've got a system and it bloody works.
Yeah. And so hopefully moving forward, there won't be times where you bend forward and have things happen. But if you're bouncing back that quickly, that's a huge sign of progress.
Yeah,
so.
so I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
Well, should we get into it and chat about why we think transition's so important? Again, we're not going to jump on a bandwagon here and say you must. It's here's the math. And we use low point and face to path as the two, and protect the lower back.
Yeah, of course. And, you know, it all comes together. So you make a good backswing, you set yourself up to make a good downswing. So we want to make sure we give you guys all the kind of thoughts
So there's no twirly feet, pretend I'm dancing. This is just pure physics and math and
exactly.
physiology.
All right.
Let's rock and roll. So just to recap, so what we're doing here is, remember, as the thoracic spine rotates to the right, we want a little bit of left side bend to allow that super steep thoracic rotation in the backswing.
And like we talked about, just keeping those reference points of your upper and lower body centers of rotation. So kind of sternum and chin where ground contact is going to be in your belt buckle. We like to see those stay lined up vertically on top of each other.
This is not side bend.
Yes, we want it coming from the rib cage, which allows that to occur. Rather than things getting wonky
and maybe
with
go
lumbar
over it again.
side bend.
So why do we like that side bend?
So for one, it just saves your lower back. Like we said, if we can stack your upper and lower centers of gravity on top of each other, you don't compress your spine. But the side bend allows space on the side you're turning towards. It opens it up so you can turn into it.
Wow.
So easier turn, bigger turn, and then you can keep your hands in front of your chest.
So I got married down in Cartagena, Colombia, and I can't dance. And so this is SJ trying to teach us to dance. This took about 3 weeks for me to work out how to do this.
Yeah.
So we go round and round like a merry-go-round here. Now, this is resistance training. Why do we use resistance, SJ?
To give you a bit of feedback. So this is meant to be done kind of slow and controlled, where your brain can actually feel what's going on. It can start to learn to generate a movement pattern, right components working together. So just gives you some feedback.
Yeah, this is a great drill. So what we're going to suggest is most golfers won't have the stability to move their hips without their torso. So we start this using a box. We do this in front of a mirror, and this is just the transition drill. I think this is brilliant. So I'm going to suggest you use a box when you do this, but we're going to get rid of the box because
so you can see here. Yeah.
So why don't you talk us through this here?
Okay, so as we had talked about last week, kind of building that good backswing position, we're pretty much just going to have him go from an address position into a full backswing and then down to impact.
So we go chest to ball, tuck my tailbone, tiny little bit of side bend to the left, and then I'm feeling rib cage back and down. First motion, left shoulder to ball.
And then your hips are going to naturally just turn with that as you make your full turn. So now we've got him in that same position we were talking about last week, where your kind of belt buckle, sternum, and that ground contact point is going to be lined up on the ball.
Hasn't moved.
Exactly. So he's nice and centered here. Now moving forward is where a lot of the magic is going to happen.
So this is, we could debate this for years and years and years. We know, and my belief is the sternum is where the club hits the ground verbatim, unless you're trying to do a trick shot. So my whole teaching is, well, if the sternum's where the club hits the ground, lead shoulders low point, I must have my sternum in front of the golf ball at the point of impact. So then, to me, it's really simple. It's again, tuck tailbone, chest to ball, rib cage down, shoulder to ball, head doesn't move. Now, I think left shoulder, left hip, left knee, slide's not a great word, but laterally moves left, and I squash that left knee, left heel. And then from there, the big one, right? Posterior tilt, and then rotate.
And the hips rotate,
So now I'm covering the golf ball. My belt buckle's ahead of sternum. What else do you like?
Your low point has moved forward, so we're going to hit ball first, ground second.
Club's going to come from the inside.
From a biomechanics perspective here, you still have your chin and sternum right above your belt buckle. So those things are lined up. Your lower back, you can sit here all day, hopefully, even after tweaking your back recently, and no issues, right?
Again, chest to ball, tuck tailbone, rib cage down. Shoulder to ball. Big rotation. Everything moves left, squash that left heel. The pelvis is still what we call bucket of water out the front. So I've got to go bucket of water out the back. Turn the hips, turn the hips, turn the hips, turn the hips. The hips bring the torso into impact. There's impact.
Really good.
And
So
it's just rotation separation.
yep, and just keeping that stack above yourself. Now, the thing I find with a lot of people we see in here, and you'll find all the time, especially people whose backs hurt, is they either get the hips way out in front of them, where chest is hanging back, or they stay back and then chest gets way out in front. Either way, you're getting in trouble with that. But here, it's really important to note that those things are moving forward towards the target together. But the shoulders and chest are not opening yet. The hips will be.
So NG is one of the young kids we've gotten here, and he's so mobile. And he was doing this drill yesterday at group training, keeping his torso way back. Now we've got incorrect side bend. So we got him in front of the mirror, and we're like, come on, NG, big rotation, bump left, squash the left heel, activate the glute. And then from there, pelvis, pelvis, pelvis. The whole, people say back to the target, whatever your feel is, big rotation, squash, belt buckle, belt buckle, belt buckle, chest doesn't open.
And one good reference point, just to give you some feedback visually, I think you should look at it. But you want to be looking for, so Scotty, if you go right to impact there, is we got pretty much, if you draw a straight line up his left ankle, knee, hip, shoulder is completely vertical. So if you want some feedback, if you're doing this correctly, that's going to be your checkpoint, is try and line all that up in a nice straight line. Hips are open, chest is still square or even closed.
So it's address, impact.
And then if we can get you maybe, Scotty, to step out of there, and we'll get you down the line here, showing the same thing. You're going to get a good idea now of the hips opening, but the chest and shoulders staying closed.
So again, chest to bull. I'm so bucket of water out the front, anteriorly tilted. I've got to go pelvis underneath, rib cage down, shoulder to bull. Squash that knee now. Squash that left ankle. Chest doesn't move. Belt buckle tucks up and turns. Bucket of water out the back. I'm changing my pelvis and I'm turning my belt buckle. Posteriorly tilt. My opinion, the most important misunderstood thing by golf professionals. Posteriorly tilt so the left hip can internally rotate. Now pelvis goes. There's impact.
And so I've got that same checkpoint from my view. Left side's all lined up. For you, you'll see this spine angle here from Scotty's hip to his shoulder has not changed the entire swing. Which is a thing of beauty.
Turning.
So so use some visual feedback. Get in front of a mirror when you're face on. Make sure you get that left side lined up. When you're down the line, make sure you keep that spine angle going. You should see both cheeks, but only one shoulder, really.
And remember, this is where you practice it. You can't do it on a golf course. Practice it off the golf course, practice it in the gym, practice it in front of a mirror. PTs, physical therapy is just the future of how to get you guys and girls to actually move better.
And this is one of those things where we're trying to teach your brain how to coordinate a movement pattern. So you want to start slow and controlled, and you need repetition, repetition, repetition. You can do this any time of day, anywhere you want, as long as you don't care if people are looking at you funny. But you just need to practice this slow, give your brain the ability to start to then put it together when you're actually swinging full speed.
Don't forget, we spent 7 weeks getting to this drill. 7 weeks for these guys, rib cage down. 7 weeks of understanding bucket of water anterior tilt compared to bucket of water posterior tilt. Notice my backside's not moving in. I'm simply tilting and disassociating. So build up to things. Send us some notes if you're not sure.
We started all with individual components. So that is everything put together all at once in the golf swing. But we started out just one piece of that at a time, whether it was rib crunch, posterior tilt, internal rotation. And now it's piecing it all together. So your brain's doing a lot during this drill. This is as much of a mentally effort-driven exercise as it is physical.
100%. And we just tell all the group trainers in here, slow, slow, make sure it's done precisely.
And just get that visual feedback so you know if you're doing it right, and rep it out like crazy.
And
it should
with our
get
guys,
better.
Once they get it, we video them, say, hey, grab your phone and we'll send it to you. And so they've got it on visual, what it feels like.
Exactly.
Beauty golfers, thanks for listening. Remember, you can absolutely own your swing. Do some drills with the stuff you do off the golf course.
Again, thanks for listening. Check in with the newsletter this week for a little more information, and we will see you next week.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Safe travels.